This week's episode is brought to you by Clubs. Want to feel exclusive, but don't want to actually do anything that would give you exclusivity? Well, now with Clubs, you can shut out people who you don't like. Clubs, the best type of sandwich there is. Hey everybody, welcome to Nexus at Night. I'm Atlas.
And I'm Matt.
And today we're talking about the clubs of Vanguard. And
What clubs?
so a while ago, I forgot who told me, but there is a concept of something called the Broken Common Club, which is a card that is of the common rarity that kind of doesn't deserve to be of the common rarity because of how good it is.
You mean a mistake?
It doesn't necessarily have to be a mistake, but just the has so drastically helped or altered a deck, despite being a common, that it kind of deserves to be its own in a league of its own.
All right. The reason I call it a mistake is because Bushiroad looks a lot more closely about how the GRs and triple Rs affect the game more than the rest of the cards in the set.
Yeah.
So if a common does slip through the cracks, as it were, it tends to be more absurd.
Yeah.
Because almost all the triggers are at common, and they'll just and they're throwing whatever effects they feel like on stand triggers, so it's pretty easily for them to be pretty absurd.
Yeah. So
that's why I said a mistake, in the sense that they didn't intend for it to change the game as much as it did.
Yeah. So we've compiled a little bit of a list for you, and some clans have multiple broken commons, some don't have any at all, but that's the way the news goes. So we're going to kind of just go through the list here and explain what the card does and why it's broken, and it's basically just kind of like a set review, except we're making this ourselves. So,
all right.
You want to go first?
Sure. So the first one, which kind of has lost a lot of its luster because people A, learned how to deal with it, and B, the deck is just not good, is Dimensional Robo Diehawk. So it's a starter for Dimension Police that you can shove. Well, if you're on a grade 3 Dimension Police, your opponent can be on whatever they want. They can be grade 0 for all you care. You shove 4 Dimensional Robo rear guards, you could include itself, and a soul, and you can stride into a Dimensional Robo unit. The idea here is that you get to stride a turn earlier, so you get to force first stride regardless of the situation, and you stride into Die Earth, which calls 2 additional units. The way people play around this is just not giving you counterblast.
Yeah.
So if you ride a 7K, your opponent rides a 6K attack, no boost. Oh, trigger, put on my starter. And you're just oh.
I mean,
but if your opponent's an idiot, this card makes that game very, very hard for them.
Yeah, or just the surprise factor, because you get first stride no matter what.
Well, yeah, and what this card did do, regardless of whether or not people know how to play against it or not, is it changes the texture of the game. Normally you just attack, pass, attack. People are attack, pass, call some stuff, attack, pass. Then you're call some other stuff, attack your rear, attack your van, pass, right? But now this would be, all right, I'm going to ride grade 1, say in pass turn. Your opponent goes call a thing, attack. If your opponent plays that same game, call a thing, attack van. Okay, I'm at 2 damage. My next turn, I'm going to ride to 2, attack your rear, attack your van, right? And then maybe you take maybe you take a damage on your next turn, and you're at 3, right? And you're I'm going to stride. Oh, you're grade 2. You have a rear guard. Cool. I'm going to attack your rear guard with my stride. And your opponent's I can't G-guard because I'm not grade 3.
Yeah.
And if they're playing an unflippy PG, they can't even PG. So you just get to drive check 6 if you have a Laurel.
Yeah, and then Die Earth lets you make up the cost of Diehawk.
Yeah, so Diehawk is a -1 with Die Earth. It's a -1, but you get guaranteed first stride.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely massive. And then from then on, you just go and you just have a guard break every turn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, but this card did lose a lot of its luster, A, because people learned how to play against it, and B, because Dimension Police was terrible.
Yeah. I mean, it's they got power crept.
Yeah,
But
I mean, it was they didn't have a lot going for them to start with, and people just figuring it out. And because I mean, a lot of people do play DP for what it's worth, so it tends to get figured out faster than other clans.
yeah,
People don't feel like it's quite. I mean, some people actually hate the deck, right? Woe, yeah, Woe Dragon, like for example, hates DP more than anything, despite the deck being almost unplayable in my opinion. Like I think DP right as of now is in the bottom 5 clans in the game.
I'm pretty sure like Woe Dragon's big hatred now is Ishikashima and OTT.
I still think he hates Dimension Police more than OTT, even at this point,
Oh wow.
because he thinks Guard Break is really really stupid, which is fair.
I mean, you got to be stupid to be good.
That's true. If your opponent feels like your cards are fair, your deck's not good enough.
Gold Paladin. All right, the next one, and anybody who hangs out in Proof's Discord has probably heard this 80 gajillion times. It's Mayhem Tiger. So it's grade 2, 9k with charge. Charge being if it's placed due to an effect, you can have it become charging, and then after it attacks, it goes back to the bottom of your deck. And then the other skill is GB1.
Or boosts.
That too. Or just at the end of its battle. So boosting counts
Right.
too. All right. Soul Blast 1, when your opponent puts a unit on the guard circle during the battle that this unit attacked a Vanguard, if it's charging, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose one of your opponent's grade 2 or less Guardians and retire it. So the way guarding works is everything happens one at a time, which means if your opponent did not throw down a perfect guard or a G Guardian, you can keep just breaking guards the whole time as long as you have the soul for it.
They can intercept him though. It's not a place; it's a move.
Oh, okay. I did not know that. But I mean, typically, it's going to be.
But usually he's going to be like 31k.
Yeah.
And your opponent can't possibly have enough intercepts for it.
Yeah. Unless it's like Gurgit, and that's.
But then you're playing against Gold Paladin, it's a free win anyway.
God, shut up. All right. So, yeah, this thing is so good. I'm surprised. Like, I expected it to be a double R, but it's a common. So, this is kind of the thing that like also makes the Hellheart 8 turn amazing. Because not only are you throwing several attacks at the wall, you better have a G guard or something because it's the end of the line right there.
Yeah, I think this card is a little redundant on the Hellheart turn, but it does make it even harder for your opponent to live.
You mean hell harder for the opponent to live?
Stop. So the next one is Doctoid Refros. This card, stand trigger, has an act, CB1. Choose 2 cards from your damage, shuffle them back in your deck, put it back in your deck, shuffle, and then you put the top 2 cards in damage face up. So what this does is, first of all, it's a countercharge engine by itself. Second of all, there's a bunch of cards that get power for things going in damage zone. And if you have 4, let's say you have 4 cards in your deck, and you have a Refros, and then you activate Refros, you put 2 whatever cards in your deck. I think your deck needs to be smaller actually. Whatever. No, 4 is fine. You're just very likely to keep hitting Refroses, and your opponent probably you just make infinite infinites.
For you newer players in the game, this used to they had to put this to 1 because of that.
Oh, even worse than that, it takes actual forever.
Yeah, because you got to put them back in and shuffle and blah 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 blah. So I think that's the reason they limited it, not the loop part. They just didn't want to games taking forever.
I mean, I think that's a big part of it, and I think that's why Japan also limited Elizabeth, is because they just don't want games taking 5 years.
Yeah.
Bushiroad has always had this position where they don't want games lasting 5 hours.
Yeah, which I guess that's what GB8s are for. Is that their logic there, or is that like?
I would think that would be an extension of that logic. Although that wasn't really the problem when they made GB8, so I'm not really sure what they were thinking.
Yeah. All right. Yet another common that has had to be limited due to its brokenness. TikTok worker. So this was in GBT05 along with Melum and Urwatar. So this was like that holy trinity that made Gear Chronicle like a competitive force.
Yeah, it's just a time leap starter.
Yeah, so Forerunner and then GB1, you put them into your soul. At the end of the battle that your other rearguard attacked, you may pay the cost if you do time leap that unit. So that turns one attack into two.
It actually turns it into more because
you can do other stuff. Yeah.
Because you can go attack with well, the interaction with Mellum is also silly.
Yeah. And that interaction being that Mellum, who after she attacks, she goes back into your deck and gets a grade 0. But the way Bushiroad ruled it is that if you use her with TikTok, you get both the grade 0 and the thing time leaped out of Mellum. So another big thing that people will do is time leap Mellum into History Maker Dragon, who can time leap on his own. So then you time leap the grade 0 you got off of Mellum back into Mellum, and then get another attack off of it. So people would run this at 3 copies as their starter and then just in the main deck, right?
Mm-hmm.
At first, and then even when people put it back to 1, they were still running it in the main deck because you couldn't use it as your starter anymore.
You could search it, so it doesn't matter.
Exactly, yeah. So
well, okay. So when it was at 3, Time Leap was the most broken deck in the game.
Yeah,
and people still were not, and people in the West were still running Carnage because they're idiots.
Yeah, but I get a stride fodder for next turn.
And it makes your board look awful.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then it got hit to 1 and everyone was playing Duran TikTok, which was fine. But it wasn't a broken deck anymore.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
And it was still really good. Then Erwitar got hit. Then it was actually not even the best deck because Night Rose was.
Yeah.
But
and then nowadays everyone's cleaved towards ZTB, and then he's not there's still Timely players are still running around, but the ZTB stuff.
We are at the point where we're power creeping out TikTok worker. That just needed to be said. So
your turn again.
All right, the next one is Enigmatic Assassin. So this is a grade 0 for Dark Regulars. It doesn't have a Forerunner ability. It's just there. It has a GB1 skill. At the beginning of your attack step, if you have, what was it, 5 or more cards in Soul?
It's 10.
It's 10. Okay, if you have 10 or more in Soul, you can call it to R, and it gets plus 5k. If you have 15 or more in Soul, it gets another 10k. So the reason this card's important is because the way the attack step works in Vanguard is that it's not, at the beginning of the attack phase, i.e. that leads from the end of your main phase. An attack step is when you decide you want to attack with a unit. So you could have no board. You could say, I want to attack with my Vanguard, and I will call out this Enigmatic Assassin for my rearguard slot.
And then attack with her.
And then you could say, okay, I want to attack with Enigmatic Assassin. I'm going to call another Enigmatic Assassin out.
Yeah. Well, you could do it, the way that works is you can do it all on one side. So you can attack with it, and then on the next one, I decide I want to attack with my Vanguard. Pop out the second one, attack again. So they're just all being called on top of each other. As long as you have a standing unit that is able to attack, this can come out and do whatever she wants, basically.
Yep.
Plus she can boost,
And you can even boost, as you call it out. It's really dumb.
Yeah.
I think the problem with this card is more how the attack step is worded in the rulebook.
Mm-hmm.
Which kind of, I don't think it makes a lot of sense. The way it's worded, you would think you could only do it at the beginning of your attack phase.
Yeah.
But that is just not even close to the way it works.
I think if they want to hit this thing, they either got to put it to 1, so you can't have a 7 attack turn in Blade Wings that are all over 30k, or they got to change the way attack step works.
The problem is if you hit Enigmatic to 1, I think DI is just unplayable as a clan.
Yeah, I mean, people would start cleaving over toward Darkness, which is decent, but it's not Blader Mouse is still a very good card. It's just
Darkness is actually bad. It's not even somebody in some shitter in some Discord was saying how it's close to Blade Wings, but it's not. Darkness doesn't do anything till second stride.
Yeah, I mean, your first stride is basically just powering up your field and getting a grade 3 into your hand. It's not
But that's not... Yeah. You cannot play that way in today's Vanguard.
Yeah.
That is a losing game. You just can't play a deck that has no first stride.
Yep.
So and you're just like Blade Wings just has like you just get free wins sometimes.
Yeah,
Just
it's
like okay,
the,
cool game.
the amount of wins I pulled out of my ass is like palpable.
Yeah, right. You're just like, oh, I have four assassins and a huge demagogue. Do you want to concede?
Yeah.
You
All right.
just get these free games.
All right. Next up, we have Floral Paladin and Flowdoll. Oh boy. So she's a crit that counterblast one at the end of the battle that your unit named Blaster Blade attacked a Vanguard. You may pay the cost. If you do, choose one of your units named Blaster Blade on Rearguard Circle, stand it, return this unit to your deck, and shuffle your deck. Just let me thank our lucky stars that this does not say choose one of your Blaster Blade and stand it, because that means you could stand your Vanguard.
Or worse, like
or worse.
Blaster unit.
Oh god, yeah, that'd be even more horrifying. Anyway, so the fact that she is a crit that puts herself back in deck to restand a Blaster Blade is good enough on its own, but like you can have just 3 of these out and be like, all right, I'm getting 6 attacks this turn guaranteed, unless you kill Blaster Blade. Oh wait,
what this card also does, is like it makes checking crits that much more crazy. Like if you check a crit and you have a Flowgall on field, like that crit is now doing double duty.
Explain.
Like you're getting 2 attack. Like you put that crit on a rear, right?
Yeah.
And that now you're getting 2 attacks with that crit.
Oh, okay, that's what you mean. Like
like it's doing twice the amount of work it normally does. So it's like effectively doubling a critical trigger.
Yeah.
That you check on that turn, which makes it like a really high incentive to run a crit alongside of something that's already a crit.
Yeah.
Like I think the mistake here is that Flowgall is a crit.
Yeah.
Which I mean, it makes sense. Like, but you could like it makes sense with how the original Flowgall was, right? Because that was also a crit.
Yeah.
It's a vanilla.
No, the original Flowgall was a stand. Actually.
Oh, okay. Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
What was the crit then? Oh, whatever. It doesn't matter.
They made a different Flowgall like vanilla. That's a crit.
Oh, that's why I was confused.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, but like I feel like this should have been like this is templated like a stand trigger, but it's just a crit.
Yeah. It basically it's kind of like the sheep. For ZTVs, which we will get to later on in this list, but it's
spoiler alert.
Yeah, and the fact that it's not even GB1, like you can just do this on turn 2 if you have the damage for it.
Yep.
That is some wacky stuff.
The deck has plenty of ways to find Blaster Blades, so
yeah. And then on top of that, like the only out for that later in the game was, I can Denial Griffin. Not even anymore, because they have the dance slot in G Zone. Okay, he's at resist. Suck it. Like
did it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much it for her.
All right, so the next one is a Steam Battler Erbitar. So this card again used to be much higher on the. It had a much better days than it does now.
I was going to say this list is in no particular order. By the way, this isn't like a ranking system.
Oh, no. Yeah. No, this list is in whatever order we remember the cards in.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's a stand trigger with a GB1 effect. Put this unit at the bottom of your deck. When this unit is put into your bind zone from R, you may pay that cost. If you do, draw 2 cards, choose a card from your hand, return it to your deck, and shuffle your deck. So basically, you can keep pulling this out with Melon, binding it with like History Maker or something, and then fix your hand.
Yeah.
I.e., put crits back in your deck, put whatever back in your deck, and just keep gaining advantage from card,
Yeah.
But the new ZTB decks gain enough advantage where they don't need to worry about a card like Erwitar. And also, you don't want to be playing stands, except for the sheep, because you're already playing 4 sheep, so you don't want to play any more than you have to.
Yeah.
It's also not a ZTB, so that also hurts its case.
Well, this was like before ZTBs were invented, but yeah.
Right. Yeah, this was a common in GBT05. So.
Yeah.
So it was, again, the time leap set. If GBT05 was a really absurd set, I think that's something to keep in mind as we go through this card.
Yeah. Let's see. Goddess of Sound Sleep, Taro. So for Genesis, she's a stand trigger with Revelation. So Revelation being on place, look at top card, and put it either on top or in Soul. And if you put it in Soul, rest something. That's not the problem. The problem is GB1, put this card on the bottom of your deck. When this unit is put in your drop zone from your Soul, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose one of your rear guards and stand it. So what Bushiroad, I think, was intending to do was, we can help get around Revelation in that if you Soul Blast for the cost of Genesis, you can stand one of the things that was rested. No.
Sure.
What ended up
Cool.
happening was this ended up making one of the craziest multi-attack decks we've ever seen in the Wiseman loop.
Yeah. So I think they just forgot that Wiseman even existed.
And why would you? It's a common.
It's a common from what, BT 15, 14,
Something like
14.
that. 14.
14 had Genesis.
Yeah.
Like BT 14 was already like a really mediocre set. It had like cool Regalia stuff in it that was like really popular at the time. Otherwise, not much else.
Yeah.
And then this random common named Angelic Wiseman, which is one of the very few repeatable unattacked Soul Blasts in Genesis.
Yeah, because the like what also makes it crazy, like if Wiseman was just, when he attacks you Soul Blast 3 and he gets 4k power for that battle. So that wouldn't be too bad, except for the fact that you have a grade 1 that can make him gigantic along with, other stuff. So like, put Gelia to bottom +3, Soul Charge 2 plus, plus another 3. Put another one to the bottom +3, +6, +9, +12, etc. So yeah.
Yeah, they really missed the mark with that one.
Yeah. Well, what ended up making it a loop was you can then, for the cost of Wiseman, you Soul Blast out cards that when they're Soul Blasted, you Soul Charge 2. So if your deck's small enough, you're just Soul Charging the Taros you just put on bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if you Soul Blast Taro for the cost of Wiseman on his attack, he restands mid-attack and you just get another one. So it's just the perfect storm of Bushiroad kind of fucking up on its, like, the way it has the mechanics of the game being played, and also just lack of hindsight.
Right.
So
the next card is Nurse of Broken Heart. It's a grade 2 common for Angel Feather from some set. I don't remember.
04, I think.
Probably, because that was the one that had Gavril. That was the first one with like the full art SPs and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
All right, so this card is has GB1. Whenever a card is put into your damage zone, this and your Vanguard gain 2k. So this card was I guess especially busted in combination with Refros, which is how you got just infinite columns basically.
Yeah.
And but also like even on your opponent's turn with cards like the grade 1 Nocio, like it's pretty easy to get your Vanguard like substantially large.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is that people's rearguard columns are large enough where it's not as effective, and have a lot of ways to deal with your broken hearts prior to your attack step. So before you can start like swapping damage from guarding.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a Angel Feather is also this card is also kind of fallen off with, I guess, the rest of Angel Feather. But yeah, this card is probably should have been like a double R.
Mm-hmm.
I think the idea was that people thought it was close enough to a Pegasus where like deserved to be a common.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out that it's just way better than a Pegasus. Because it doesn't because Pegasus like works when it's on your Vanguard circle, right?
Yeah.
Like to gain some power. But like Broken Heart is like you can like stick it in the back row and it's like hard for your opponent to interact with it.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. So I'm probably not going to understand this one too much because I haven't played with it, but Seven Seas Apprentice Neptrunus. Wait.
What?
Night Runner. Oh my god. My brain just farted out on me. Okay, so it's a starter drop zone. Put 4 cards in the top of your deck in your drop zone. At the end of the battle that you're of your main phase, if you have a Vanguard is 7 Seas in his card name, you may pay the cost. If you do, call this card rested, and at the end of the turn, you may retire this unit. So I have no idea why.
Why what? Why this card is good?
Yes.
So, what this card does is it basically gives a non-GB weight a plus every turn. So, like this in combination with Nightcrow is a free unit every single turn that doesn't die.
Okay.
So, the idea is, and if your opponent, if you have like 2 cards in hand and an open, you have like an open rearguard circle, right? Mm-hmm. You call Night Runner, and you basically get a free unit to your field.
Oh, okay.
Assuming you have a Nightcrow engrave and drop. So it just generates a free unit for free.
Mm.
Like just and like for the cost is milling 4. But like the idea is that you're single driving your opponent's triple driving, that they're still behind in cards.
Gotcha. Well,
Yeah, so this is just basically it's a way for a deck that sits on grade 1 to gain advantage over and over and over again.
and they limited it to 1, and you can't use it as your starter, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So basically, what people were doing is they're just playing 4 of this, and you would just start with it. You just whatever, call over it, doesn't matter, and then your next turn you'd always have it available.
Yeah.
So, and available to mill again. You just keep milling.
That's crazy.
And you'll eventually find everything you need, and your opponent would die.
Yeah.
Because Night Spinal is insane.
Yeah.
It's good that they restricted this card prior to printing like 7Cs crits and draws, because the 7Cs crits and draws really do help the consistency of the deck.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's easier to get a 7Cs ride. Like you can just ride a draw trigger and it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this card is just.
Yeah.
But if you watch the last U.S. Worlds, or the U.S., I guess the Western Worlds, the not Japanese one, you get to see people misplay with this card because they can't actually read, despite being at Worlds with the deck.
Like what?
So that was cool. He activated Night Runner, milled another Night Runner, then assumed he could activate the one that he milled with the first Night Runner.
Oh my god.
Right. This is our Worlds, everyone.
We're smart.
Yeah, we are something.
Next one.
Mick the Ghostian family, stand trigger from GB
06.
6. Yeah. GB1, when this it has hollow, which is the keyword for Grand Blue. Basically, when you call something, you can choose for it to be hollowed. It doesn't have to be by effect or anything. You just when you call it. And then when this unit is called from drop, if it's hollowed, you can choose another one of your units to get plus 10,000. All right, so this card's very strong for multiple reasons. One is that, well, it works well with itself in the sense that it's a stand trigger that gives a lot of power. So and it goes back to deck at the end when it's retired by something. I forgot about that point. So it works with itself. It gives a lot of power, is a stand trigger. So the other copies of Mick the Ghostian family in your deck are working well with the one that you used originally. So like even if it's still on field, because if you trigger a stand after attacking with like a 21k Nightstorm, it's really, really good. Right? Mm-hmm. Stands are good with Nightstorm already because of what I just, even without like a large amount of power.
Yeah.
And you can use this defensively with Necrolazy on opponent's turn.
Yeah.
So the way you do that is you keep a Necrolazy just on your field during your opponent's turn. You can use Negro Lily to kill off Necrolazy, and use Necrolazy's skill to call back a Mick on opponent's turn and give 10k to Van. So you can actually make like a giant Vanguard with it as well.
Yeah. And then another thing about it is that, like, normally triggers with good effects, you feel kind of reluctant darting with them because you don't get to use them for their effects, right?
Right.
Well, with your toolbox being in the place that darted cards go to, that just makes it that much better because you're like, all right, I can dart with this and then pull it out next turn. That's like something that a lot of clans can't boast about.
Yeah.
Let's see, and then coming up on the last card in the Broken Common Club that we mentioned a little earlier, please welcome Pulsar Hypnosis Sheep. So he's from GBT09, GB1. When he's placed on rear guard from your hand, until the end of the turn he gets red text. Put this unit into your soul. Choose one of your other rear guards, put it on the bottom of your deck. At the end of the battle that your unit attacked a vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose one of your Zodiac Time Beast rear guards and stand it.
Yeah, so this card wasn't great before GBT 12.
Yeah.
Basically, like there wasn't a whole lot to do before that. But now you have cards like what is it, Spearhead Unicorn?
Yeah.
That works insanely well with this.
Yeah.
Because you can basically use it like Spearhead Unicorn calls a unit every time it attacks. Is 11k. So like it can attack by itself for like still hitting. You can call additional unit, attack, and then keep restanding with uh, stupid
The
sheep.
sheep. I find it funny that you have to get the skill when it's placed from hand because like they know that if you had just could do all the stuff with Time Leap or Melum or whatever, you could just search it out.
Right,
Like
right.
they learned their lesson.
And so with enough CB, you can just gain a lot of it. You can gain a lot of extra attacks. And if you have if you have, let's say one card in deck that's a sheep, right? And you have a sheep and you have two sheeps in play, and you go, I'm gonna attack with unicorn. I'm gonna call a sheep. I'm gonna put a sheep at the bottom. Let's say you have two cards in deck, whatever. So you're not
Okay.
attacking out.
Yeah.
Or no one. Then you're like, okay, I'm gonna put a sheep on the bottom. I'm gonna stand my unicorn. I'm gonna attack again. I'm gonna call a sheep. Put a sheep on the bottom. Stand my unicorn. You just keep doing this,
Yeah.
and like you'll just keep attacking. And just think, if you find a way to CB, you can just do it, or just countercharge. You just do it.
Yeah.
You're just there.
Or if you have 3 counterblasts, you could do that, depending on what time of the game
Well,
it
it's
is.
it's a counterblast for every call for the unicorn.
Oh, okay.
So you'll be out of CB eventually.
Yeah.
It's not an on play CB gain red text. It's on
Yeah.
play gain red text for CB.
Gotcha. That's still crazy good, though. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the Broken Common Club. So we're going to take a little break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the Kill on Sight Club. Wait, what? What do you mean I have to do a sponsorship? Okay. As well, this episode was brought to you by TCG Player. TCGplayer.com is the best place to go for your card orders. Let's say you don't want to go to your local store because the clerk freaks you out, or you don't live in the Southern California area where you can go to Frank and Son. TCGplayer.com lets you order all of your cards in one convenient place. Vanguard, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic, they have Dragon Ball for some reason. They got it all. So, we don't have a promo code yet for Nexus at Night, but I'm hoping that TCG Player hears this and they give you guys a promo code. So how's about all you listeners out there tweet at tcgplayer.com or email them, and maybe we can get you guys a discount over time, because I know other podcasts get to do that. So TCG Player, that's where I go for my cards anyway. Let's get back to the show. Hey everybody, welcome back. So in this part of the episode, we're going to be talking about the Kill on Sight Club. And what we mean by that is there are cards that are kind of important for a deck to play, and that if you're playing against it, you should probably focus your, retire skill if you're a Kagero, or if you have a retire skill, or a bind, or a return to deck, or whatever it is your deck does. Or if it's a grade 2, attack the hell out of that thing, because it's important. So, starting off, we got a good one. Blaster Blade. I don't think I really need to say what Blaster Blade does. It's important.
It has the name Blaster Blade. That's what it does.
Yeah, so basically, it's because it's a grade 2 and Blaster Blade exceeds a grade 3, you can just attack that thing, because if it's kept around, they're just going to keep restanding it and all that stuff. Granted, it's got about a million other ways to search it out again and recycle it, so it might be kind of a futile effort, but it's definitely like, oh, on attack, I can retire grade 2. Kill Blaster Blade, if you can.
Yeah. So, a lot of these you're going to be kill if able. Like, a lot of clients don't even have the ability to deal with any of these things, but if you can, maybe you should deal with them.
Yeah, or if the person happens to be stupid enough to like try and rush you with them up front or something, or that kind of thing.
Yeah, so the next one is I guess as a kill on sight is Knight of Morning Light Horsa. This rhyming name though. So it's GB1 Unite. When your other unit is placed in rearguard circle, choose one of your other units in the same column as this unit. That unit and this unit gain power plus 2,000 till end of turn. Basically, this makes gigantic columns, so you want to kill it to prevent like a lot of Glorious Reigning shenanigans in the Gold Paladin decks.
Yeah.
But I think so few people play Gold Paladins at this point, or are willing to keep playing Gold Paladins at this point. That's not really shouldn't be that much of a concern.
Yeah, but I mean, like they're getting support in 13. That might change.
Maybe, or they're just going to be worse as ETBs.
That's so sad.
Look, they had their chance. They also have like one of the worst characters in the show playing them, so they get what's coming to them.
Come on, Tayo's a nice person.
Okay, it doesn't change the fact that he's shit.
Okay, he's got a stupid haircut. I'll give you that.
He's also shit at Vanguard.
Yeah, fucking goes into the Gurgit
I'm
stride.
gonna cut Flame of Victory for Catch Call Liberator.
Okay, he did. I don't think I ever saw him.
Tayo.
I don't think I saw him with that card. You just hear him talking about it.
Right. And then never again do you see Catch Call Liberator.
Yeah. Exactly. Why do I get the feeling? Because like Chrono tells him to do that, right? So like, wouldn't he just be like,
"No,
shut up, Chrono."
No. He says something like, "I think I want more stands in my deck," and then Chrono says like some empty words of encouragement, and then Tayo's like, "All right, I'm gonna cut Flame of Victory for Catch Call Liberator."
Okay.
That's pretty much what happened.
All right. So the next one isn't quite a card. It's more of like a role that's being played. So if you're playing against Blade Wings, and on their grade 2 turn, they're going to put down a card like an Enigmatic Assassin or Dimension Creeper, which when they ride Blade Wing Sullivan, they will get to pick that card, grab up to 3 copies of it from their deck, and put it into Soul. So if you happen to have like a Gatling Claw Dragon and they put down the Assassin, don't kill their starter, kill that thing, because it's very, very important for their engine to get going. Or if they happen to be dumb enough to put it in the front row, attack the hell out of it, but I haven't seen anybody like that yet.
I've heard of stories with people like that, mostly on Card Fight area.
Oh.
So I can only assume they're bad because they play on Card Fight area.
What? I'm not touching that one. Your turn. Yeah.
All right, so the next one is Nurse of Broken Heart. So this ties in a bit what we mentioned before, with it being just a very good common. Is that if you have a way to deal with it prior to your opponent's attack step, it takes a lot of the defensive capabilities of Angel Feather out of the way. And so a lot of times Angel Feather players will put this in the back row just to like make it even harder to deal with.
Yeah.
But if you have the option to deal with it, it's generally a good idea. It's just it's going to make your turn a lot simpler.
Well, also if they're being offensive with it, then yeah, I would try and kill that first.
Mm-hmm.
What's probably going to end up happening is they're going to use that rescue G-Guard and just be like, all right, my front row's 20k.
Yep.
Base.
Every time.
Yeah. All right, next up, Tank Mammoth. So this is for Tachikaze. It's an 8k grade 2, Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1. When this unit is put in a drop zone from rear guard during your turn, you may pay the cost. If you do, call this card to rear guard and it gets plus 3k till end of turn. So the big thing about this is that it can only be used on the person who on the owner's turn. So if you blow it up with a skill, they're not just going to be like, all right, Counterblast, Soul Blast, get it back. It's dead. And it's kind of important because this is Tachikaze's only way to get like a good amount of multi-attacks. But like it's not. I see a lot of people ignore him in favor of like Sarco Blaze or
some generic engorging it.
Yeah, because they're like, this is the one that's attacking for numbers, right? No, Tank Mammoth is the one getting all the numbers of attacks. Kill it now. I'm annoyed that a lot of these modern Tachikaze cards are during your turn only. Do you think that was on purpose or?
I don't know. I don't know how Bushi decides these things.
Me neither, but it's very annoying that they did that.
So next one is Sever Temper, which is a grade 2 promo for Nova Grappler. It has some skill that when you check a grade 3, you can retire a front or rear guard with less power. It doesn't matter. The point is, it also has a GB2's rush skill that when it stands due to the effect of one of your cards, it gets power plus 10,000.
It's his 5k.
Wait, I thought it was 5k twice.
I think that might be involving... If you have it... I think it's like involving other stuff. Like other things give a 5k.
Oh, my bad.
He himself gets 5k.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking about. Is that everything else gives a 5k, and then it also gets 5k.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it has it stands, and you need a Victor Vanguard, and it gets 5k until end of turn. But this but it's until end of turn, so it stacks.
Yeah.
and it's just very strong. Basically, all of the crazy plays that they make involve this card.
Yeah, I mean, like, often killing Nova's rear guards in general hurts, but like that especially is the big one you want to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, and I think this is pretty equivalent to Sazanda. Like, you just want to kill both of them.
Yeah.
So the reason that this card is better than Sazanda is due to having the actual rush ability.
Yeah.
Where Sazanda has like almost the rush ability, but it doesn't have the rush keyword printed on it, so it's not.
Yeah.
It's just like, why?
Yeah. Do you want to swap so you get Commander Laurel and I get the one after?
Yeah, sure. There's also Commander Laurel is a grade 1 4K from BT4, double R, and it says whenever your Dimension Police Vanguard hits whatever, it doesn't matter. You can rest 4 Dimension Police rear guards and restand your Vanguard. So this card just in combination with guard break of Dimensional Robo, it's kind of hard to always just make sure you're able to guard. So killing Laurel makes your opponent's Vanguard hitting less good.
Yeah, or less scary in general.
Yeah, so it's not like a plus, 3 or whatever, just for hitting. So it's a pretty good idea to make sure Laurel goes away.
Mm-hmm. The next one is one of the new starters for Dark Irregulars, Deranged Singular. Now, you will more often see this in Darkness than you will in Blade Wings, but you do see it in Blade Wings from time to time. I'm currently giving it a try right now, and it's working out pretty well. But it still is some Darkness still with the 2K boost. The important thing is that when your G unit strides, you put this unit and all of your grade 1 or greater rear guards into your soul and draw 2 cards. So what this means is that you can rush with stuff like calling out a Dimension Creeper, or Weretiger Jaeger, or Triggers, or what have you. And then when you stride, it all goes in there to boost your soul count. You get to draw 2, and then if any of those were Weretiger Jaegers, you get to draw even more cards off of that. So if you blow this up before they get to stride, then it kind of punishes them for overcommitting, because this was the way to earn your resources back.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much it. Like if you have the Calibum or whatever that the ZTV equivalent was that we were talking about last week, use it, or Gatling Claw or whatever it is you're playing with. So yeah, good starter to kill. Another one in there that I can point to is Cat Knight in Boots. So he doesn't have the Forerunner ability, but when he's pulled out of Soul by the Magia ability, you can pull something else out with it. Or sorry, when placed on R from Soul, you can pull something else with it, and then it goes back in at the end. And then the other skill is when a grade 3 or greater unit is placed on your Vanguard circle, so usually striding, he pops out on his own. So because he's basically a free +2 to your field just by striding, if you can, again, kill that on your opponent's turn, it makes their turns a lot slower in building a field.
It basically cuts half their field, but it's so hard to find a way to kill this piece of shit.
Yeah, I mean, typically what's going to happen is, like, usually, like, they'll do alright, both my princesses are in Soul, and I have, Paratrooper and the cat left. You go, like, alright, impede, I have no board. Kill them both, that kind of thing.
If that even works.
If that even works.
Choose not cat.
I'm sure, like, we'll get stuff in the future. Like, clans will get something in the future to fuck up.
Wait.
What?
Chimera can get him.
Wait, Chimera...
For Gear Chronicle, that it's a G Guard, Counterblast 1. Choose
no,
is that opponents choose, or do they choose?
Let's find out. Pandora,
I don't know what bad cards do, so I just have to look them up.
Pandora Chimera. Let's see. It is...
Only Chris ever played this card against me, and I still crushed him.
Your opponent chooses a unit in his or her back row.
Oh, never mind.
That's not even going to matter. Yeah.
Maybe Kagro has a G-Guard that kills a grade 1 in back row, so...
They have the flippy one. You can kill a grade 1 or less.
So that could pop your cat.
Yeah.
But I think that's it.
That, like, a lot of this is just, like, stuff to tell the Kagro. Like,
yeah. Oh, Kagro should kill this.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so there's another one, Nightmare Doll Alice. Everyone should know what this card does, so I'm not going to talk about it.
Yeah.
If it hits, it gets to attack again, basically.
Yeah. And then if it doesn't, it still does.
All right, so the Nightmare Doll engine relies on having 2 Alices. Like it must have two Alices for it to work
Yeah.
because you have to like swap Alice's positions in some way, and basically you just need to. Anyway, the point is this: um, you have two Alices, and so you need to kill their Alices, but if they already have two in Soul, killing their Alice doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter as much. So that's not really what's important. The other thing you need to check, the other thing to beat Nightmare Dolls is just deny them CB.
Yeah.
Without CB, the deck cannot operate.
Yeah. They have a grade 1 that helps them countercharge, but it's too dang slow. So.
Well, no, if they're at 2 damage, it doesn't matter. They can countercharge.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna attack you, like 3 times, and that's gonna be the end of their turn.
Yeah.
It's just that they every attack requires a CB, so whatever. It's not like Silverthorn, which can actually go infinite.
That's true. No Silverthorn. Tidal Assault. So anybody who has ever played against Aquaforce ever should know what this does, but to those who don't, it's 9k grade 2 that after he attacks a Vanguard, he restands with power minus 5,000. Bow free. And it's once per turn, so you can't like go from 4,000 to -1 and then that kind of thing. The important thing is that he's 2 attacks on his own, which when you're Aquaforce and care about the number of battles you do per turn, it's kind of important. It's also allows you to be very aggressive early game if you're riding grade 2 after your opponent does, because you can go, alright, attack for 9 with Tidal Assault, they guard or no guard. Restand, it's at 4. Boost with my back row starter. Attack for 9 again. So it's still putting pressure in the early game. And then in the later game, you got all these effects to give it power and restand with more power and Lambros, and like, it's just crazy. Kill that thing hard. Anything? Or
one thing I will say about Tidal Assault, and this is probably my favorite memory, is that the sneak peek for BT13. He was really insane.
Why?
This is Sneak Peek Hall of Fame. It's a grade 2 that attacks multiple times in a sneak peek. Like that's just nuts, right?
Yeah.
Like, how do you even beat that card?
I don't know. I like how that's your favorite memory. Like,
because it was just so stupid. Like, you just needed to find any other Aquaforce unit that was grade 2 or higher, and this card was just nuts. It's like so good. I know, but this card is very solid and has been randomly expensive at various points.
Well, usually what happens is it's just like out of print, and then like they put it in the Revival collection, which was good, so it's easier to find now.
Yeah,
so that's nice.
So the last guy.
Here we go.
Is Cran Tiger, and I'm reading this for some reason, not you.
Well, that's just how.
We had bad planning.
Whatever.
It's a once per turn skill. GB1. It's a Amber clone, so it has when this unit attacks, if this unit's boosted, you can counterblast 1. If you do, well, this one you choose one of your rear guards, stand it, other rear guards and stand it. It gets power plus 4,000, and a turn, draw a card, retire it. Basically, this is the only thing that even makes Great Nature pretend to be a deck.
Yeah.
Like if this card did not exist, Great Nature would be a pile of bad cards.
It and Horton are basically the only thing allowing us to have multi attacks aside from stand triggers.
Yeah.
Like it's.
Yeah, Tuskmaster and Cran Tiger are both very solid.
Yeah.
But the rest of the rear guards are just like hoping that something else makes them good. And we still don't have Tapering Beaver.
Yeah. I want that, damn it.
Yeah, that card's great.
Yeah.
And so that's something else that they should be looking for. But yeah, so basically Cran Tiger is the only card that makes the deck good, so you should kill it.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. That makes the deck a deck. Sorry, the deck's still not good even with Cran Tiger. So.
Gotta hit me where it hurts, don't you?
Look, I'm here to analyze the data, and say truthful statements.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
And it just so happens that a truthful statement is it causes you pain. That's just a bonus.
And it doesn't matter if you're a little cunty. That's just how you are.
It's okay. I'm like halfway through my ban from the subreddit.
Yeah.
I got banned for no reason, so I guess this is pretty good.
Whatever. I mean, I got a message from a listener this week where it was he was like, I appreciate Gabe being gone, which I understand Gabe is a divisive figure, fine, but he was like, last week's episode you guys were strangely non-cunty. I'm like,
what?
Okay, I like
I don't
part.
think I was like terrible. I talked enough shit about Narukami. It was just
Yeah,
like their cards were good. It's just that Narukami's good cards don't add up to a good deck.
yeah. Well, okay. Just the big deal is that like we're not. The whole point of the podcast is to say things about the metagame and about cards that are truthful. We're not gonna hold back. If you like, if you want a lighter Vanguard podcast, go listen to Drive Check. Which, by the way, they're an amazing podcast. If you haven't found them, go find them. Drive Check, good.
All right, but I'm not gonna sit here and like dance around a bad card being good
Exactly. Yeah.
because cards don't have feelings, and if a card is bad, I'm just gonna say it's bad and move on with my life.
Yeah. I
Like
mean,
I'm not. It's not like I don't want to waste a lot of time with cards that are bad.
yeah. I mean, that's just like a game wide problem of people getting too attached to this or that.
Like me talking shit about about the clan that you identify with is not me talking shit about you,
Yeah.
and it shouldn't even begin to take that to. You shouldn't even pretend that that's the case.
I mean, you just spent like 2 minutes like yelling about great nature, and I totally agree with you.
Oh,
Unfortunately,
I mean, I also spent like 2 minutes talking about how shit DP was,
and that's yours,
which
isn't it?
yeah, which is my clan. So,
Yeah.
like, it's just about being realistic and not playing decks that are garbage.
Yeah. I mean, okay, look, there is another like addendum to this, which is if you can't afford a super expensive deck, then you can't make a
I mean,
budget one.
700 is pretty cheap. So I'm just gonna throw it
Okay,
out there.
I'm just saying that like if you have to play a less expensive version of the deck, but it's not super meta, then that's just how life is. That's understandable, you know?
Yeah.
Like, but don't act like how am I gonna use this to like show everyone like it's not a prom dress made from carpet remnants, god damn it.
Oh,
It's the less expensive version of something else. Like I tried Ghetto Luard, it was good, but it wasn't as good as regular Luard because it was
also, I
ghetto.
think another
Yeah.
point is that people aren't honest for the reasons they're running a deck. Like people play a deck that is inefficient due to budget constraints, and then try and convince themselves that it is a better version of the deck, which is very very bad. Very very bad idea.
That's fair.
Like just because maybe they've had some positive experience at locals with their cheaper version, they somehow think it's better. I think is
I
rather short-sighted.
I mean, if you're having a good experience at locals and you want to keep doing that, fucking keep doing that. That's
Yeah, but you
fine.
shouldn't try to like defend your inefficient version of the deck. Like you should realize that like if you have some external constraints, like you should think about how that might affect how that affects the performance of your deck, and be open to people saying like I think this card is much better, but you're like, oh, I can't afford that card. Well, I'm going to that's probably true. That's probably true, but I can't test it. Or just proxy the cards you're missing and actually check.
Yeah.
Like find somebody who's a decent playtest partner, and then you play, jam some games. Try to figure out mistakes. Again, you should be more lenient for mistakes when people are playing with proxies because you can't literally see the card. And just play out the game. See if it is better, and give it more than just like 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
Like 2 games is a data point. It's not. It doesn't tell you a trend. Like you should play like 15 or 20 games probably.
I mean, obviously, if you don't have the time, you don't have the time. That's how people work. Well, that was off a tangent, but who cares? It's Nexus at Night, the podcast of tangents. Well, we hope you enjoyed our little list here. If you have any cards that you thought we missed for the Broken Common Club or the Kill on Sight Club, you can tweet them at us at Nexus at Night. You can tweet me at Atlas Novak. You can tweet Matt
at Wiggums, 2Gs, 2Zs.
And we're also in Living Proofs Discord that we hang out in there. I'm the Giant Awkward Bear, and Matt is also still Wiggums in there. So
yeah, I am actually. Yeah. I forgot.
Wiggums parentheses Matt and then a robot face or whatever. And then also I started a blog for myself, which I'm going to plug because it's my podcast. It's just giantawkwardbear.wordpress.com. I figure since I'm still vaguely I got a job at a costume store, yay for me. But
Halloween in January.
Halloween in January, but like like just I don't know. I felt it would be good to try and like sharpen my writing skills. So I'm going to be trying to update that every couple days if you want to just see what my life is like. So cool,
Please,
whatever.
please, please, just do things that make your life vaguely interesting.
I mean, it's not to be
Like
that.
you go out and do something. You're like, oh, I can write this in my blog. You know. It's
Yeah,
like...
that's how stand up works. Oh man, I got almost I got robbed in a 7-Eleven. Just that kind of thing.
Really?
No, I did not get robbed in a 7-Eleven.
Dang it.
All right. Well, until next time, I was Atlas.
I'm Matt.
And have a good night, everyone. I want to take the time to thank anybody who has come across this podcast. Be sure to share us with your friends and family, anybody who likes Vanguard. I also want to thank anybody who found this outside of YouTube. So if you're on your podcast app or SoundCloud, thanks for finding us on the not most popular medium. You can also check out, if you haven't found us already, the Nexus Core YouTube channel, which this podcast is a part of. So we have like card fights, deck profiles, sketches, all that good stuff. If you're still listening at this point and want to stab me with a spork for some reason, you didn't have to. You could have just stopped at the music. But thanks for listening anyway, and we'll see you next time.